So today we're going to talk about, are you creating and do you have a good system or process in receiving, asking for, and then how do you follow up with those referrals? We've talked about isolating faces, we've talked about how to use LinkedIn, we talked about how to ask for referrals. Let's start with, do you even have a process? Or do you just get these referrals and you've got sticky notes all over the place and you got a stack of business cards on your desk and you just kind of call from the sticky notes and the business cards? Or do you have a CRM where you've put everything in and you have a follow-up date? What's your process? If you don't have a process, I highly encourage you to create one. Otherwise, things are going to slip through the cracks. You're not going to have great follow up and eventually lose opportunities. So, step one here, let's talk about it. What is your best way to actually get really good qualified referrals? We talked about isolating faces, but another key component is getting some golden nuggets, really good information about that person you're being introduced to, on what's their personality, what's the best time to reach them, do you have their cell phone number, how do you know them, what do you like most about them, what do you admire about that person, do you have a funny story about that person? If you're not asking for golden nuggets, it's going to make that conversation, your approach, maybe a little bit cold, still a warm call, but not as fuzzy warm as it could be. So, step one, let's make sure we have great golden nuggets and we're jotting those golden nuggets down. That is part of this process, that is part of this system that you're creating. Two, we're getting phone numbers, best way to contact them. And now you've got all this information. What do you do with it? Are you putting it in a CRM system? Do you have a CRM system? If you don't, and money's a little bit tight and you can't afford a CRM system, use the Excel spreadsheet. That can still work for you. But whatever, whether you have a CRM system or an Excel spreadsheet, make sure you're gathering all of these referrals and all of these names and all these introductions in a great place. And you're making sure you've got their name, the company, their cell phone number or the best number to reach them, their email address if you can. Create a column or a place where the date that you received the referral, and then the date that you're going to make the first call or a follow up call, and then column where you've got the golden nuggets. Make sure you jot down and remember who actually referred you, because all of that information you're going to need when you start making those phone approaches. So the second step is creating a great system where you can go back to and make sure you're following up with people. The third thing that you need, speaking of follow up and actually making calls, is, do you have a talk track? Do you have a script? Jim Rohn always talks about a script is the best way to show, one, engagement, but two, your professionalism, and three, that you really cared. If we just wing our sales calls, wing our pitches, wing our approaches, a lot of times we don't sound as professional as we should. Darren Hardy also talks about it as it's really showing people how you truly care about your clients and throughout the process too. So make sure, step three is making sure we've got a great phone script process and even a script on how you ask for introductions and referrals. That's highly important because you want to maximize your time and effort every time you sit down and meet with someone. So, the fourth thing that you got to make sure you're doing is making sure you've got a great follow up system. When do you make the first call? And then when do you make the second call, the third, the fourth? And then how long do you let it rest? If they don't answer your phone calls, at Southwestern Consulting, we walk our clients through an entire series of leaving messages so that you're actually getting people to call you back. So we're not being a dial dummy and we're just calling and calling and calling and getting frustrated and frustrated and frustrated. So, do you have a great system to make sure you're always calling on fresh new referrals and introductions? So, these are some of the biggest things that I see the last 10 years as a coach that a lot of salespeople and business people not really have. You need to make sure you've got all the tools in your tool belt to really maximize your referral follow-up system. So I hope you found this helpful. If this is the first time to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe, like, and hit those notification bells. And I will see you on the next video. Until then, have a blessed day.